Hi, welcome to tdcat.com. In today's tutorial, we're taking a look at the T-Racks software, the mastering software from IK Multimedia, and one possible setup to get a great sounding final mix. So we're not talking about individual items on tracks to sort of compress drums, EQ voice, that sort of thing. We're talking about something in your master to get a final bigger sound to your overall mix, and some good settings around that. That's using the T-Racks software from IK Multimedia. Right, okay. Well, here we are in Ableton, and we have just a very simple sequence here with 3 synths, a couple of raw sounding drums, which sound quite nice, and our standard 808 just to sit in the background. And at the moment it sounds fairly quiet, but one thing I am going to do quickly is just increase the level on Ableton within the tutorial, just to match, so all our levels kind of match. So I'm going to increase it to full level, so this will be a little bit louder, but we've still got a load of headroom in this mix. So you can hear there just a really basic arpeggio and drums. What we've intentionally done is leave a lot of headroom in each of the channels, so that when they all build together, they become a little more, but still plenty of room to play with. So what we're going to do now is go into the master and put in our T-Racks plugin, or I assume it's called T-Racks, not Tracks. So the T's separate, but IK Multimedia or someone else may want to correct me on this. So we'll go in here. And we're not going to put them in as separate plugins. We're going to put in their kind of overall one, so we can build a chain within here. So first of all, we're going to put one of their EQ plugins in, Classic Equalizer, which looks like this. And all we're going to do within Classic Equalizer for this is just sweeten up the top end just a touch, and push the low end actually a little bit, and the mid just a tiny bit as well. That's all we're going to do, nothing major. So we're going to turn on the high, and we're going to push that as high as it goes to 8.3K, and just sweeten it up by about sort of maybe 4 dB. And then the mid section, we'll drop that down to about 2K, and again push that up about 3 dB. And the low, 100 Hertz, maybe a little bit deeper than that for this type of music. We'll take that down to 70 just to give it a really nice sort of good deep thud, but nothing, we don't want anything plummy, because sort of the plummy stuff was around kind of 100 to 200 Hertz. And just not too much on that, just 3 dB. And that's what we're going to put in first, and then we're going to EQ it. We're going to process it. We're going to EQ it before processing it in this particular case. And we're going to go to our second section, and we're going to put in a classic compressor. And we want a nice slow release time, so the longest release time this allows you to do, and the fastest attack time it allows you to do. Ratio is fine, and just bring that up, bring the level up on there to 0 dB, and that should, well, if we play that, what we should see is just it metering just a little bit. Because we're not looking to drive this stuff much, we're not looking to hit it hard and really get that sort of pumping sound. We're just looking to build everything together, level it all off in the mix nicely, and not drive it as if we're driving it through sort of to really kind of clip the whole top off the waveform. Next comes our multiband limiter, and we don't want any overload on there at all. Release time again, nice slow hand on the pot, as they say. Just gentle volume adjustments, so we're not talking about any pumping returns after a bass drum or anything like that. Just gentle, sort of nice long 1.5 second release, And again, input drive should be okay like that, but we'll just see if we're actually affecting it too much. Okay, so it might need a touch more there. Fine. That's fine. Okay. And finally comes our brick wall limiter. And with that, we are going to put our output to -1, and this final output ceiling of -1 in the mix here allows for compressed audio overshoot. So when you have an MP3, if you encode to MP3, if you have your peaks at 0 dB, you'll get overshoot in any kind of whenever you compress to a lower sort of bit rate. If you compress to a low bit rate of sort of 160 or 192 or even 256, you'll get some form of overshoot. So this -1 dB here just allows a little bit of headroom for that overshoot. And then we'll determine the rest of it. We'll leave that on clean there. So we're not looking to do any hard clipping or much clipping at all, really. We want it just as clean as possible. And we'll adjust this according to when we just start to see some gain reduction occurring. Not much, but just some. So I'm going to stop talking because I need to play this. Okay. So there, what we have, so I'll just go through that again. We've got our EQ, bit of nice sweetening of the top end, and a bit of deep bass response, and a bit of extra mid. A gentle slow release compressor with no sort of significant input drive, just enough to get it gently doing some compression. Then a multiband limiter. Again, same idea, slow release, just some gentle compression. And then the brick wall limiter just cleans off and takes care of anything that just does happen to peek through, and just very quickly. And the attack time is 0.05 milliseconds, so it immediately reduces it. It is a hard brick wall limiter in this case. Nothing's going to get past that, basically. And this is what it sounds like in total. We'll just go to this section here. Okay. And that's without. And our general aim there is to not change the dynamics of it much. We want to leave the dynamics intact. They will change slightly because it is being run through compressors and what have you, but it's not to change it too much. You could say, well, you're just increasing the volume, but yeah, that's true, but you don't have the same level of control then if you start putting other additional elements into the mix. So what it's doing is it's bundling it all together and basically just mastering it all into one nice smooth mix, which comes out sounding clean. And if we look at one that I did earlier, if we open it in Audition quickly, I will show you what I mean, because where's the file? Where's the file that I did earlier? Oh, there, right. Okay. I just thought it sounded, for some reason, it sounded a little bit like a Kraftwerk track. So what you can see from here is that you can see, firstly, our peak of -1 there, because on the -1 line, we've got nothing kind of going over that. And you can see from that waveform that we've got good dynamics in the track. And if we play it, levels are still bouncing up and down nicely. They're not driven up hard to the top here with this waveform just being a fat mess, like so many tracks are these days. And that means not only will it sound good on when you play it through your sort of iPhone or whatever, it's also going to sound good when it's put through a broadcast processor finally, and hopefully if you're making something that's a little more imaginative than that, and maybe play it on air or something like that, it'll still sound good then. So that's some basic mastering settings using the T-Racks software from IK Multimedia. Hope you found this useful. If you've got any ideas or any questions or comments, just let me know below, and I'll catch you soon.